there you are. Let me grab the receipt. You know, everyone wants receipts. We all know that. Everyone wants receipts. And for the ticket, it cost me $19. And if you get any value out of this, you can always go to the Cash App. Oh, and look what I found on the floor. $6 as I was walking to my movie theater. And I did buy popcorn. You know, I believe in supporting the concession stand and not just coming in with all your stuff. You know, like, I'm not going to pay for all that overpriced popcorn. Like, I support the concession stand. That's just me. And it was $9 at the concession stand, and it was also the 19 to get in. And there was a movie that I saw last week over here. I wanted to do a review, but so much was going on. But I said today I'm going to do the review. I'm going to talk about Hypnotic, directed by Robert Rodriguez. He's the guy who brought you those movies with Quentin Tarantino, From Dusk to Dawn, and he also brought us a bunch of children's movies where they were like little superheroes, little Hispanic kids that were like saving the day, you know. And I think I remember taking my mom to see one of the movies where Robert Rodriguez, he was, you know, because my mother's very religious. So I had to look for something rated PG in order to take her. And this was like PG. And it was like, they were I Spies. They were little spies. And then I also do remember he did have a bunch of stuff on like Showtime, possibly. Don't quote me on that, but I like Robert Rodriguez. I'm not a fan of his. I'm a supporter of his. And I knew nothing about the movie. I never saw the trailer. You know, I don't watch trailers. And I just saw that it was Ben Affleck in the movie. I don't know if I run out to see Ben Affleck movies. I don't think so. The last Ben Affleck movie I saw that I wanted to go see was when him and a bunch of people were doing bank robberies in the Boston area. So I was interested in that, but I can't remember really the last time I was really interested in a Ben Affleck movie. And then there's this Hispanic woman, I can't remember her name right now. I feel bad that I'm not more prepared to talk about these people and their names, but what's interesting is that she has, like I have, this cleft chin here. So I have a cleft chin. There it goes. You can see it there. Let me see. Yeah, this angle, you can see it. It's in there. And my oldest daughter, 24-year-old, she has it very pronounced. My mother had it and my grandmother had it. And this woman, the co-star of this movie alongside Ben Affleck, she has it, and Ben Affleck has the huge cleft chin. So I was like whoever's gonna be their child, like whoa, that cleft chin will be crazy pronounced. And I'm gonna digress from that for now because now I just thought of a something else. But the movie starts off with Ben Affleck waking up in a therapy session, and the first thing you see, the first images you see are brown hands. You see the brown hands of a black woman who looks like she could be ADOS, FBA, which is an American descendant of slavery, possibly. I got to do research to find out if she's even American. But she's definitely wearing a wig. And she's like the therapist, and she's tapping onto, she keeps tapping her clipboard as she's talking to Ben Affleck. He's like, oh, I dozed off. And right away, she's like, was it about, where did you go? Was it her, or was it the day she got taken? It was so like, huh? What therapist speaks like this? She was like pulling, she was leading him to have this conversation about the child. So it was a way for the director to give us some backstory about what's going on. And basically, we have a guy, he's a cop. Oh, and the way they show you he's a cop, his phone rings and he picks up the phone and moves his jacket to get to the phone. And you see the badge, the gun, the extra magazines, like just like maybe the bulletproof vest. Like they were like the bulletproof. So like he's so then you start thinking, okay, he's like a detective, and he was just out taking his daughter to the park, and he lost. Someone stole her, and now this is what's going. These are the interviews you have to do before you allowed back on the job, so to speak. So he's then leaves this therapy session with the assurances that he can go back to work. And then he says something very cliche. Yeah, this is the only thing I have. This is what keeps me, like if I didn't have work, I would just go insane trying to figure out what happened with my daughter. So now we got a guy and then the little girl looked nothing like him that was like in the park. It was like this very, very Aztec young lady, very, very Hispanic, Aztec in the face, and she didn't look like Ben Affleck. So I thought that was interesting. So my first red flag was the fact that the child didn't look nothing like Ben Affleck. My first one was when the therapist was leading him into a conversation about this child. But then I'm thinking, okay, don't be so hard on him. This is just the director dealing with, he's told that his audience are idiots, so they need to spell everything out. And I was just looking at the movie, and I'm going, oh, okay. The the temperature of the movie was pale, so to speak. There wasn't any warmth. It was done on purpose, of course. It was very monochromatic. It was very, 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 very pale. And when he walks to the car, he leaves because his partner's waiting for him downstairs, so to speak. And you see he's in Texas. So now I'm wondering, is he doing a Texas accent, Ben Affleck, or is he just like, what's going on? Because the license plates clearly say he's a Texas guy. And then who's the driver? Some sort of cliche Hispanic cop is in the car. Just that carbon copy cop that's, could be a gang member, but we're gonna put him in a collar shirt and roll up his sleeves and give him a holster, and he'll just be cop. And it was no big deal. I was like, all right, okay, cool. So as they go off, and they immediately are pushed into a stake, what's that called? A stakeout. And before the stakeout, he reads like this message that they got. And this message is this woman's voice who's telling, like leaving an anonymous tip about a bank robbery that's about to happen. And then he's told by the partner, yeah, two other bank robberies already happened. So he's like totally unaware of the bank robberies that are going on while still trying to get his job back, doing therapy and whatever it takes. His first plunge into this new position is he's like, what? He's like in a stakeout. They're in some sort of van, and this van is observing the whole neighborhood. And out of nowhere, there's this man in a suit walking through this particular square where the bank is. You know, it's a very typical scene. It's like, where they have outdoor dining, outdoor seating for people to just plop down and have a seat on the many. It's like one of those squares. I guess they call it the square, right? And he's watching and he's inside, and then he becomes a little bit of a hothead. He's like, follow that guy. And then the man, it did get a little interesting when the guy is sitting next to the woman and he asks her for a light and she hands him a lighter. And he tells her it's very, very hot today. So then, unbeknownst to everyone else, she's like the distraction from the armored car guys. Sorry. The armored car guys are there, and she's the distraction. She starts stripping, and cars are crashing into each other. I mean, the whole thing looked like, I mean, it was really bad. It was really, really, really bad. The scenes of the cars flipping and crashing to avoid this woman who's taking off her clothes because some stranger decided to have some sort of conversation with her. And now she looks like she's running off into like this MK Ultra state. It's obvious MK Ultra. You're looking at it, you're going, okay, that's MK Ultra. She's like, he just said some sort of trigger word to her, and she just got up, started taking off her clothes, and she's a distraction. Now we turn around and we see that the people that are working for the armored truck people are actually now in on the robbery, so to speak. And then we have Ben Affleck's character chasing after the guy after being repeatedly told on his earpiece or walkie-talkie to stand down, don't approach this man. It was just so, what? It was horrible. I mean, the scene was not even intriguing in any way. It was like, I think you got better scenes on television. Like, what's those TV shows like NCIS and, and I say that respectfully, but, long gone. Long gone is the guy with his laying on a skateboard getting shots. Those days are over. And there was a scene where Ben Affleck was in the train station and he's like trying to avoid these guys in the train, and the camera work was so trash. It was 100% his double running on the train tracks. That was not Ben Affleck. Didn't even look like the same person. His body shape, they totally dropped the ball on his body double. Like, whoa. So now, Ben Affleck is in this bank chasing after this guy. And then he asks, somebody walks right over to him, hi, sir, how can we help you today? And he was like, I want to open the safe deposit box, because he figured to get closer to the safe deposit box, which was what the anonymous phone call was left to the police, so he's told. So he goes to the safe deposit box area, And the guy he's with realizes he doesn't have his keys. He said, I'll be right back. Then we find out that Ben Affleck lifted his keys from him. So now you're able to pickpocket people. You're going to pickpocket people now. You stole the man's keys. Now you take it upon yourself to look for that box, number 23. He opens up the box, and what does he find in the box? He finds a Polaroid picture of his daughter that says, find somebody, something. The guy, the bad guy. God, it's so fucking trash. Oh, this movie was so bad. Oh my God, I feel like not even like, why am I wasting my time breaking down this horrible movie? It almost had a moment when he's running through the train tracks, and no matter which way he ran, the guys that were following him were able to just be like right there. And at first you're thinking like, what is Robert Rodriguez doing? And then you realize, wait a minute, all things are happening all at the same time. Wait a minute, time is not real in this scenario here. So where he believes he's running this way and then running back this way, is all being done in some very small controlled environment. And he looks up at the ceiling and he can see just rows and rows and rows and rows of trains. And it was very reminiscent of the movie Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio, where they were able to almost bend time, space and time. It's like a black hole, you know? You're in this black hole, and what's happening inside of this black hole is that, like, if let's say space was this line, this imaginary line I just created, right? Just created this imaginary line. And we got to get from here to here. And it's going to take us a time, right? 300 years to get from here to here. 200 years, 100 years, 6 months, 6 weeks. Maybe we just want to go a month into the future. So now what we do is we have to develop the technology that allows these long straight, imagine this long line here now folds, and it folds onto each other. So if you can pinpoint something here, right, and you know you're here for the most part. Oh, I'm here. It's my timeline, but I'm trying to get here 30 days into the future. Instead of traveling that 30 days into the future, you can actually take space and you fold it onto itself. So you're boom right there. That's if you can understand like quantum physics and things like, you know, time is not necessarily real. Our concept of time is just that of hours. You know, the sun goes round and round and it appears to be like, that's gotta be a day. It makes sense to me. But you know, what about the bug that's underneath the ground for 14 years and only comes out for 2 weeks? What's going on with that timeline? What's going on with the flower that waits and waits and waits and waits and waits, and it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows, and it's just vegging. It's just totally vegging and vegging and vegging and vegging and vegging for like 2-3 months. It's vegging, and then out of nowhere it starts to flower and it blooms, and it only blooms for like one whole day, and then it dies. Like, wow. You know, so time is debatable, in other words, at least concept of. So that was kind of cool. When I saw the trains, I was like, okay, you got me, you got I am interested right now. What is going on? Why is this man looking up and it looks like there's just, you know, an infinite amount of train lanes? And so you start to see, okay, this is why the guys keep catching up to him. Mind you, he's being chased by a guy with 2 police officers that he was able to like control. Do that suggest, like, remember when the woman started taking off her clothes and the guards started to, what the guards started to do? They started to the armored car guys, they were like in cahoots. But before the train station scene, he was able to, they were able to chase this man onto some sort of rooftop, and it's Ben Affleck's character along with these two other officers, detectives, so to speak. They were all in, like, shirts and, collar shirts and stuff like that, and they're running to get this guy, and then they turn the guns on themselves and they shoot each other and kill each other because they were told to by the man that they're chasing. So you seem to find out that this man is really powerful. This guy is like, still on the Lower East Side, you gotta so this guy is still pretty powerful. Like, this is a pretty powerful man. And I've seen this actor many times. I'm sorry I don't have the name for you, but we've seen him in so many things. He's done everything from, like, sell cars to, so he's very supporting roles, the bad guy in this, the so-called, and he's in the suit, and, his hair's a mess, and, he's like, Al Pacino's, the devil movie that he was in, the way he was dressed, so to speak. But it was more like business, blazer, shirt, it was, I don't think there were any cufflinks or anything like that. There could have been cufflinks there in the Pocket Square. I don't remember. He was so forgettable. I mean, so forgettable. The villain in this. He finds a way to meet this woman, and she's like some sort of fortune teller who is trying to, like, obviously probe him for information. But I have to admit, she had on a pair of blue jeans. Oh my God. She had on a pair of blue jeans that was so tight. I mean, you can see imprint. You can see, like, I thought she looked great. I'm not gonna lie. But the jeans were way too tight. I mean, they were so tight. You could see, like, I mean, her butt was just popping in these jeans. And I'm sure she even has a nicer butt than the ones that appeared in these jeans, because the jeans are flattening it a little bit because they were just so tight. So, but I have to admit, I didn't mind watching her running and stuff like that. And there was an interesting, concept to this thing, because all these different problems are happening where the cops are killing each other, and she was forced to save him and kill his partner that was after him, all because they're these victims of suggestion, and there's just so much power. They can make a person do whatever they say, and he just so happened not to be affected by that. So, it was like Agent Smith. We have Agent Smith, right? And instead of Agent Smith entering your body and taking over you, he just whispers in your ear, and you do whatever he tells you to do. You jump off a building, you go kill people, you run through the streets naked. And then you have no memory of doing any of these things. You have no memory whatsoever. So now we have Ben Affleck's character and this woman are like, they've totally connected, because she saved his life, he saved her life. They find an underground facility to go to that was one of their, like, classmates when they were young. It's like COINTELPRO. I always make the joke that, like, COINTELPRO had children. The children of COINTELPRO needs to be a movie. That's what I would call it, the children of COINTELPRO. And this is something similar to that, where, we got Ben Affleck and this Hispanic woman have a baby, and of course this baby is like, what they are, Hypnotics. I thought the title Hypnotics was kind of trash. But, I know so many titles are taken. I know it's difficult, movies, Might not have been the first choice, but they're hypnotics, and this is the child of a hypnotic, and they want to control her. So he figured out a way to escape with her, and that whole ruse about him having his daughter taken, because I thought it was strange that the daughter was taken by some guy at a park while he turned his head for 1 second, and then they find the guy and he's just like, I don't remember anything. Like what? Like what are you like? It was just like no body, no nothing. So I just can't break this movie down because it's so bad. Robert Rodriguez, what were you doing? You wrote this, you directed this, you did all this stuff. The only thing I could think about is that Robert Rodriguez had this idea. And the idea is that we are possibly living amongst very powerful people who are in tune in very interesting ways on how to MK Ultra their enemies. And they're some sort of rogue alphabet, CIA plus 34 times 3 equals 2 to the 10th power. One of those other agencies, right? So now we got these agencies that are basically funding themselves through whatever means they have to do, right? And they create they're part of this subculture. I feel like somebody's right behind me talking. There is someone there talking. And they create this subculture, and I call it like, COINTELPRO has children. So you got these people here that are developing these powers, and they know, and she said they found it from the college. So, they get you when you're young, and you take these tests, and these tests lead them to needing you to perform certain activities. What are these activities? Who knows? Anything from assassinations to, we don't even know. Only our imagination could fill us with this, right? And we got this unbelievable duo, this man and this woman who supposedly from very, very young had these powers. They then have a child. They realize that this child is so damn powerful that we need to do everything we can to save this child, including wipe our own minds out. Wipe our minds from what's going on here. Like, we need to not ever know where we hid this girl. And then finally, like the scene when they were like in some sort of Mexico town with one of their friends that was like this computer. Of course, the computer genius is a black guy. They love to do that like that. Ever since that TV show Leverage, where they had that black geeky guy, and because before that it was like women that were all the geeky women, but this is like the black geeky guy that could tap into like the NSA. I got this, and then they had some sort of like cartridge. This guy is like literally standing right. There's no one out here in the streets. Look at this. There's nothing here. Are you worried about the parking?
Yeah, I'm calling the police department now. Is that you there?
Are you really calling the cops?
Yeah. Did you put that sign up there?
No.
What's that?
I don't know. I saw the sign there, but what are you saying? You think it's a fake sign?
I don't know. I'm asking the cops, yeah.
Yo, why do you call the cops for that? 311.
I live right over there. Anyway.
You called 311, sir.
What's that? Yes, I'm sorry.
Fucking weirdo. There's a sign that says no parking on Tuesdays. So he's calling the police to find out, why can't I park on Tuesday? Go 311, dude. People love calling the cops. My God. I digress. So now, we got this guy, Ben Affleck, and this unbelievably tight jean wearing woman with the biggest clef. I mean, he's got the biggest clef. Bad combination. you know, to be having children. And the girl, the girl didn't come out with the clef like these guys. Come on, what happened? What's up, chef? Be safe out there, man. Yeah, thank you. I will be. What was it about? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get into. You see, what was it about was they tried to make it about like love, and we love so hard and so strong. I can't believe this fucking idiot. I'm gonna call. Yeah, I'm on the phone with the cops. Like, call 311, you freaking weirdo. So now, and then he's like literally standing loud as hell right next to my window. Like, what are you doing? You don't see, you see the light and all this, right? I digress. And now he hit the alarm. He's gonna hit it 4 more times before he gets off the block. Boop, boop, boop. So now, calling 911 to find out about parking. What a freaking weirdo. But not as weird as this movie was. So, you know, there's like, we get that. Oh, all right. To Robert Rodriguez, we get it. We get it. We get it. All right. I get it. I get it. There's a group of organizations out there that are funding these children and these things happening. And they're trying to get it popping, right? And we got this little girl who can basically make people kill themselves with just not even suggestions. She was actually blindfolded. They were doing little flashbacks of her taking these tests. And then, you know, it's like, all right, we get that. And then he's like, yeah, so you know what we're gonna do is I wanna be able to like kind of expose how all this reality is kind of in your head, and what you think you see ain't what you see. Because you remember when Ben Affleck came down the stairs to meet with his partner after talking with his therapist, they were showing how what he walked into was just like a little golf cart. But in his mind, he saw a police car. And he's being driven in this golf cart by his partner. And they're going up to the stakeout. And they're supposed to be in that bread truck. And they're supposed to be overlooking. And what you're doing is you're just seeing people mulling around. You see the curtain. Robert Rodriguez wanted to have a movie where he showed that curtain being pulled away. You know, like, what's behind the curtain? Do you want to know what's behind the curtain? And when you pull the curtain back, you realize that it's like the holodeck. Huh? What? And then there's all NPCs around us just moving stuff around. There's not a group of people sitting over there at the cafe. No, it just says cafe, and our brain registers that the people sitting there are just there, laughing, drinking, eating. Servers are coming by and they're serving you plates, and everyone eat, because this is what your brain recognizes as reality. Your brain recognizes that over there is reality. We don't need to have all that actually happening for your brain to understand that is what's happening. So when you're in the car driving, and I talked about this the other day actually, how on the holodeck of the Star Trek Enterprise, you were able to go into a room and you can go on a vacation and swim and be underneath a waterfall, and you're just luxuriating in a waterfall. But if anybody walked into this holodeck room on your time slot, everybody had certain times and schedules, and they had to register it. I'm sure there's several holodecks throughout all these places, especially like Deep Space Nines and all that. Those big space centers, space stations, they have recreational stuff like this where you think you're swimming and you're swimming and you're having fun. And if we saw you, your arms would be moving like, dude, look, you're not doing that. But your brain doesn't need a lot of encouragement to believe that you're actually swimming. Your brain doesn't need a lot of encouragement to believe that you're actually sitting in a car. And when you look around the car, you're like, oh man, I'm in a nice, BMW or whatever have you. Or I'm in a shitty police car. Your brain is going to say yes to that. So Robert Rodriguez totally failed at pushing that point. He totally failed at us even giving an F. That possibly this concept is not just in this controlled environment where they got him. See, what it is that Ben Affleck is in a room. And all this stuff that's going on, all the conflicts with all the people getting shot, all the people dying, all the banks walking, this and that and the other. Here's the thing, though. He's not inside of a room because he's actually walking into the what he thought was a car. He's walking into what he thought was a bank. He's running after a guy to what he thought was the actual staircases that led to the roof where the guy jumps off the roof. And he looks outside and down the roof and he sees that where'd the guy go? But he's people in the cars and everybody going by. But here's the thing, he's not tied up in a room. He's actually walking, he's actually moving. He's part of like this construct. His brain is accepting everything as staircases, but it's really just 2 steps. But in his mind, it's so many steps he's walking. It's the elevator door he's pressing. But Robert Rodriguez was able to back the camera all the way up with a bird's eye view, and you can see the town that they were just in being chased down by mobs of people were trying to get at them. And you can see that these places were being held up by what's it called, 4x6s or 6x12s. Yeah, 6x12 sticks were holding up these facades, like this whole stage, so to speak. It was all a stage. So, but it was all a stage, but it was mad. It was contradictory as a motherfucker, because is the guy in that room? Okay, is he being held down and feeding all this stuff, but yet he's still moving and moving around, even though it was only 3 steps he took. He thinks he's up taking steps to the rooftop, right? So do you need the steps in order to really have it in your brain? Could I go to the holodeck on the Star Trek Enterprise and not break a sweat? Or while I'm in there swimming and working out, am I burning calories? Like, will I lose weight in the holodeck, or is that just only in the brain, only in the mind? You're not perspiring, you're not sweating, you don't have a heart rate of 150 for 45 minutes, and now you're at the fat burning section of your workout. That is not happening, or is that happening? Robert Rodriguez failed at answering any of those questions. And let me tell you, you just didn't care. I didn't worry about I didn't worry about Ben Affleck's character dying. I didn't worry about that woman dying. I didn't worry about the child dying. I knew that the bad guy was going to, at the end, wake up from whatever this reality, this construct was. And then he almost revealed it when everyone was like acting a certain way. He then starts to shoot at the stage, so to speak. And then it became a digital stage. It was no longer one that was being held up by 2x4s. So, let me tell you, Mr. Rodriguez, I get what you were trying to do. I get that you're trying to tell the people that all that you think you see ain't what you see. All that you are doing throughout your day and all your principles and all your values doesn't really matter if there's an agenda out here and you're in the way. I get what you were trying to do. Totally get it. But you failed. Because, well, no one else get that shit. Somebody's going to look at this movie and all they're going to say is trash. Like I'm saying it's trash. You're lucky I'm even saying anything that I'm saying right now, because the movie was trash. Trashola. It was so bad. Like, wow. I feel like bugs are coming through my sunroof up here. I have it cracked. And this light makes me feel like they're drawing at them. Conway. Wait, Carlton Way 1. How are you? Good to see you guys. Hopeful quadriplegic? A hopeful quadriplegic? Whoa. I'm good too. Yeah, man, it's good to see you. And the movie was just. I mean, and then it's like Robert Rodriguez. He is true to his Hispanic culture. Like he's gonna always find that little brown Aztec featured girl. I need to check that movie out. No, you don't. They failed. They failed at letting people. I mean, if people were to think like Tom, if a person left out of that movie and was like, man, you know, what I see right now might not be what it really is. Maybe I need to create a better something else. I need to believe in something else. No, nobody's gonna come away from that. They turned it into like love. Because the daughter was creating these constructs in order to trick everyone, and then the people that she was living with, they were able to shoot down and flank the um the people that came on helicopters in order to get. It was so bad. Oh my god, it was so bad. They were like, hey, Robert, you know the helicopters that you said you wanted us to get? Yo, man, we got them. And he was like, nah, we don't really need the helicopters. They're like, no, 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 but they're going to be here. So we better shoot a scene next to some helicopters. I mean, it was so bad. Damn. And you know what's the problem? I don't even blame Ben Affleck. Because it probably could have, these same exact scenes that we saw all could have been done. And the intent of the movie, it was so lacking as far as dialogue. And there was a lot of dubbing. I could hear when the people were off camera speaking. Like, let's say right now I'm here, and then someone else is in the background telling the story of what I just did. Like, what? It's horrible. You all appreciate it. I spent too much time on this movie review. If you gotten any value out of this, hit my Cash App, $ Elvis Rosenberg. Hit my Venmo. That's at Elvis-Rosenberg. It was $19 for the movie and $9 for the popcorn. Express yourself. Value for value, guys. I see you here. I see a few people in the chat. I see 2 thumbs up. Maybe it should be another 2 thumbs up before we go. You stop what you're doing and just boom, go right to the thumbs up section. And then what you can do is also share. That would be great if you shared. Because, thumbs ups are cool, but sharing is a lot better. Thanks for listening. And I love you.